Well, hello there, wife.
Hubs.
So we're gearing up for
Halloween.
Halloween here coming up, and some folks had some questions about how we navigate the
The
Halloween shindig with the kids.
the holiday with all the candy.
Yes, do you want to take a crack at that?
Sure. I mean, you know, first of all, our kids are still relatively young. We have a
4 and
six-year-old and a
6.
four-year-old, and the last few years, and this year as well, we're going to be going to one of Zoe's friends. Has She lives in a neighborhood where Halloween is just off the rails. Like every house decorates.
Over
Like
the top, like it's
serious
ridiculous.
decoration.
Yeah,
Like you're
yeah.
walking down the sidewalk and it triggers, there's like a pad and you step on something that triggers like a zombie to jump out at you. Like you're like in a haunted house just being on the street. So we do this walk, which is in and of itself just really, really fun experience for the kids. And they do go trick or treating and clearly get tons of candy. Not all of it the best quality, and but we don't make a big deal out of it. And afterwards, we head home. We sort through the stuff. Typically, pull out anything that's like full of gluten, and we'll frequently offer them like a Justin's peanut butter cup in exchange for anything with gluten. Uh,
And if folks haven't followed like my feeding kids paleo piece, or I talk about this every once in a while, but I was not particularly. I was gluten sensitive as a kid. Looking back, I know I was having kind of not great reactions to it, but it was low level compared to I caught Giardia while traveling, and then after that, it's been this really nasty thing. And I think actually now I'm at a spot. I haven't directly tested it, but I don't really get reactions the way I used to with cross contamination, at least not as frequently. So I think I'm better.
and I'm not particularly reactive to gluten. I do notice, I did notice when I was eating it that I would have like some stomach, distension,
Bloats and
but not terrible. But the fact that both my mom and Rob's mom suffered autoimmune conditions, we kind of are just
so we're just trying
trying not
to
to.
kick the can on that.
Yeah.
Like the kid deal is always like this big contentious thing where people are like, well, someday they're just going to eat what they want, and it's like, yeah, someday they're going to be functioning adults and do their own thing. But for right now, what we're doing is trying to do a qualitative deal here, where we're trying to limit their gluten exposure. And when they have, what we've told them is like, hey, this stuff is not particularly good. They really like the Justin's peanut butter cups and things like that. And so we just kind of swap them out one for one. So we talk to them and try to have them understand.
And we also talk about sugar in general, like
Yeah.
why we don't eat a lot of it. So like the night of Halloween, they'll have a handful of candy, different candies. We'll let them eat them, and then after that, it's sort of like two pieces for dessert. For dessert, during the week. And then what we've done historically is by the end of the week, that the bag just sort of magically disappears.
Well, and also it's
But I
funny,
don't know how
like
long that's gonna
the
last.
kids
How older they
also,
get.
they're, I wouldn't say they're disinterested, but it's not as big of a deal. Like they're just not like hounding us. Now, if we left the bag out on the floor, they would
Visible.
sit down and eat the whole goddamn thing in one sitting. And I did that as a kid. You did that as a kid. That's another one of these things where kind of making a little bit of a judgment call, where it's like having a couple of them every day is fine. Probably sitting down and eating a whole bag of it is not so great. And so, and again, this is just one of those things that I don't know that there's like a perfect right or wrong answer, but that's what we're doing. It's just kind of metering it out a little bit. And like, hey, you got to eat your dinner and do a good job on it, and then you can have
Then
some
you
of
can
this other
choose,
stuff, and then you can pick
choose
which
to.
ones you would want. Yeah.
And I fully get that the older they get, the more savvy they're going to be to this. And like, hey, mom, I had a lot left. Where did that bag go? So this is where we're at right now, and we'll adjust as things change as they get older. But
You think of anything else? So, I mean, we definitely do a little bit of extra diligence on the gluten thing, but instead of just taking it away, we provide what we feel is a somewhat qualitatively better alternative. And again, this is the funny thing about throwing this stuff out there. The fact that we do any triage or attempt at quality control, then some people on the interwebs are going to say that we're horrible people because we're ruining our children's lives. And then the other side of this is the uber paleo keto
right.
extremists are going to be freaked out that we're not feeding them exclusively like
Right,
keto
they're getting
fudge
candy at all,
and
yeah.
raw cacao powder with
Right.
no sweetener in it.
Right.
So there's no fucking way to win on this stuff.
But honestly, for our kids at least, this like Halloween trick or treat walk in this particular
It's
neighborhood
so
with their
fun.
friends from
Yeah.
school is so fun. Like they were singing, you know, all kinds of like trick or treat, smell my feet songs, and thought it was just hilarious. Like
And it is. It's awesome.
it is, yeah.
They
And
look
so-
forward to it for 6 months.
and then they
coming up
talk
to
about
that.
it for weeks afterwards. So
Yeah.
that is really for me like the whole point.
So
of it.
so we're trying to not fuck up that whole like childhood experience and have fun, but at the same time having some awareness. Like when they've gone to the dentist a couple of times. The dentist said their teeth look great, like they're growing really well. So I feel like we're striking a pretty good balance between not creating this kind of weird kid ostracized childhood, but at the same time not just like doing no fucking parenting at all and like, oh well, just do whatever the heck you want to do. And you know, we're actually kind of metering some of this stuff out, and what we do a lot is we talk to them, and we don't talk at them. We ask them a lot of questions, and what do you think about this, and what do you feel about this, and stuff like that. So we try to make it pretty interactive. And again, it's not going to be perfect. Both kids will probably have some sort of a tell-all book that they write someday about how horrible we were on our food. But, you know, we're doing the best job that we can and trying to...
with the information we have, yeah.
With the information we have, and strike a good balance between them having a really, really good time. But then also, there is a reality that these foods are engineered to be hyper-palatable. And we went to, just as a quick aside... we went to kind of a mystery dinner, like murder mystery dinner, where you have to figure this stuff out. Usually if I have some sort of chocolate type deal, it's like a 90% chocolate or something like that. It was a
The theme was Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, so there was
Yeah.
candy everywhere. Like, and they're providing bags, so all of the, I mean, the average age of the people that attended this thing was probably like 60.
Yeah. Hey, careful there. I'm not
well,
far off that at
everybody
this point.
was filling up these huge bags of candy and taking them home. And
So my point is that I dug around for what I thought was like the best quality thing, and it was like a Hershey's
dark.
extra dark with almonds.
Yeah.
It's not remotely like the shit that I normally eat, because I had one. I'm like, oh man, another one of those would be good. And I just kept putting the wrappers into a ball, and I had a ball of them like this big. And the stuff I normally have, I'll have a piece or two, and I'm totally good. And this stuff, once I had a few, then it was just kind of feed forward mechanism. So I think that there's also a little responsibility or like awareness there. Like,
well, once you understand how that neuroregulation of appetite works, then there is some responsibility. Like you have the information, you've got to figure out how to navigate it
right.
going forward.
And so that's a little bit of what we do too, is we give the kids some dark chocolate, like some 85 or 90% dark chocolate. They love it, but they have a piece and they're good. Whereas a lot of these things that they get around Halloween, man, you can eat the whole bag and it in the blink of an eye, and then you just want more. And so I think that that's another piece of why there needs to be a little bit of a governor in between that. And again, what we're hoping to do is create that emotional experience around different holidays that's really positive, but at the same time be able to have some sort of an option for, hey, I don't need to go fully down this track. Like I can do some kind of mitigating processes and still have a great time, but it doesn't turn into a total shit show. So, yeah. So that was a very common question that we received in the past, 10, 14 days. So we wanted to address that. Keep your questions coming in for the podcast. Please do like and subscribe if you're following the YouTube channel. Click over to @DotsRobWolf at Instagram, and we'll hopefully see y'all soon.
Thanks, guys.